There are some songs where you do not know if it's the sound of a lament or the sound of something being born. We close our doors, we hide inside our rooms, we reach through telephones, through internets, and we are pulled in two directions. We do not know what is inside or outside anymore. The inside has become our only gateway to outside, and the outside is not accessible. And when I sit at home, I wonder, because on one hand, we are here as we are right this second. We are 22 of us reaching together through the internet to be together, to feel some sense of communion, of connection. But then also we know that if we do not take moments to completely unplug, if we do not in our solitude turn off everything and just for a moment sit with ourselves, sit in the silence, sit with our thoughts, sit with our feelings, sit with the smell of the cleaner in your room, sit with the sound of the washing machine turning and turning and turning, sit with the stillness of staring into the pantry and mentally calculating how many days is this going to last me, and what is the most strategic thing I can buy, and how long will it take me to do that, and when should I do that? We are pulled between aloneness and connection. We are pulled between presence and absence. And we are also pulled between choosing joy, choosing life, choosing ways to reanimate everything, even as everything else is grinding to a halt. But in the back of our minds, we also know that just today, another 250 people in Italy died. And so we also know, as we drink our wine and as we sing songs to each other over the wires, and as we read each other's stories and send each other memes and make each other laugh and have online aperitivo, when I wake up with a hangover from drinking by myself, but not by myself. And still we also know, as we find our ways to laugh together, that somewhere where we can't see, something is ending, even while we sit together and something else is being born. And when I step out onto the street, because we have to time these amazing trips onto the street, we have to choose them so carefully. And as I step out onto the street, it's almost normal. Just for a moment. It looks like my street looks. And there's just enough cars moving to trick you that it's almost a normal day. And there's just enough people, just enough on the street at the same time that for a moment you think everyone I know is going to be just around the corner. But then you see your first mask. Then you see your first pair of gloves. And then you notice that when you smile at somebody, they wonder why they can see your smile because you haven't put your mask on yet. And they frown instead of smile back at you. And you remember that you mustn't touch them. And you remember that you must make it clear that you're going to walk wide, walk really, really wide. And you know, again, this isn't normal. And so we're pulled in two directions. We have to go out to fetch the food, but every time you do, you know that you shouldn't be there. Somehow you shouldn't be there. Somehow this isn't the place for you anymore. We used to meet in the streets. We used to dance in the streets. We used to laugh in the streets. And now we're creating other spaces. And tonight the sound of music rang everywhere, but not on my street and not on my friend's street. And those of us who didn't hear the sounds desperately shared the videos, and our lives have become a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. We are simulacrums spinning through space, and I forget what it means to touch you. And I wonder what it will be like the first time we step back out onto the street, the first time that we step back out and we realize that it's okay again to hug each other. What will that hug be like? Will we have the courage to hug firmly? Or will it be tentative? But when I imagine it, I can already smell what you smell like. Because smell is the only sense that bypasses the conscious brain and goes straight to memory. So I sit in my room and I sit wired into my ears, and I sit with 21 of you, 23 of you, it keeps shifting. I sit with you and I try to smell you because I want to remember what it's like to connect. And so we are here and not here. We are present and we are absent. We are alive, but some of us are dying. And these are things that we cannot hold in both hands, and yet we must. And for this, I pray, is the reason that we have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 breasts, and when we stand together, 2 hearts. Because we're going to need it all to hold the balance of this experience, because we are split in 2 directions. And in the middle of this, we find freedom. Because I realize that freedom isn't being able to go to the park. Freedom isn't being able to sit in the piazza and hug my friends and share a cigarette, an act that would feel so radical now. Freedom isn't any of the things that I thought it means. Freedom means giving up my freedom. Freedom means choosing to sacrifice my freedom. And I choose to sacrifice my freedom because freedom is love. Freedom is the 2 hands that hold these extremes together. Freedom is the love that allows us to hold the grief and the magic all at the same time and to create while so many things are destructing. So there are some songs where we do not know whether it is the sound of a lament or the sound of something being born. Thank you.
Unmute.
Sorry.